Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer. I was part of a secret government program to develop psychic abilities, expand human potential, and find superpowers. And the skills that I developed there are what I bring to the table here to try to introduce a lot of information from the other dimensions that if you can incorporate the information into your emotional life, social life, and business life, you will have a lot more power and you will feel a lot more secure because you will be working many times at the level of cause rather just than simply the level of manifestation, which means something that was already worked on manifest. Manifestation does not mean positive, just means that it happened on the physical dimension. So, if you want to really be in control of your life, you need to learn to work from the dimensions where reality is created, which is never on the physical dimension. Even a car accident at a causal level is not that two cars hit each other. That's on the physical dimension. That's what you see as an effect of stuff that already happened, decisions that were already made, situations that were already set up in the other dimensions. I have not looked at the news since 11 o'clock this morning. I have no idea if something really important happened. I did have a panic attack in the morning, which should mean that there's more movement underneath the earth, not good movement, more breakage of the Higgs field, which is what creates order. So I just wanted to go over a little bit of what I found, and I did a video on it, which is on YouTube and it's on X and on my Facebook. And it's where I review what we sketched the night of the assassination attempt on Trump. Excuse me, I have hiccups. What happened as a consequence of people's emotional reaction that they did not process after there was the assassination attempt. And I'm going to review it a little bit here. But do find the complete video if you're interested. First, let me talk about what is shamanism and why I call myself a galactic shaman and why you need to become a galactic shaman also. Shamanism is the original medicine of the planet. It is before Ayurveda, before Chinese medicine, and definitely before modern medicine. Modern medicine is like 600 years old. That's not very long. Chinese medicine is at least 2,000 years old, and Ayurveda is 5,000 years old. And Ayurveda is a systematic approach to medicine that was documented, whereas shamanism wasn't. But that's because shamanism includes a lot of magic. And it's a different types of people that generally. So, but all those medicines, shamanism, Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, the foundational piece of information that they work from is that health is a balance of the four elements, sometimes a fifth element, which we're not going to get into. This balance of the four elements applies to everything. It applies to your office space, it applies to your factory, it applies to your home, it applies to your car, it applies to your physical health, it applies to the planet. The planet is in a process of self-destruction because the elements are out of balance. They call it global warming. I'm not sure we're referring to the same thing, but I can tell you that there is an excess of the fire element. And fire is the element that's the most destructive and the most toxic. And the fire element destroys, it's the only thing that can destroy DNA, and it's the only thing that can destroy the structure that humans use to create reality, which are the mind strings. So it's pretty bad news to know that there is such an excess of the fire element. So that's shamanism, the basic. Ayurveda, Chinese medicine. And they don't argue amongst themselves. That's simply the way it is. We're going to leave modern medicine to the side because modern medicine is the most effective, least effective of all the medicines this planet has ever had. I mean, maybe there's some small cults that set up a medical system, but nothing that I have ever read about. Because modern medicine mainly is based on your physical body, but your physical body is a manifestation of what's going on in the other dimensions, processes that are not physical. So to base everything on a result doesn't make any sense. And there's a habit that modern medicine has that is my favorite irritating habit, which is when you become ill and you go, they give you a diagnosis. I'm going to be sarcastic, and they're very proud of the diagnosis that they give you. They have a name for a set of symptoms. Well, that still didn't tell you what you have. What it means is that they have enough information to know that a lot of people with the same issue have these symptoms, and now we put a name on it, and that's it. Well, how did it start? Where is it from? A lot of people have illnesses. They don't even know which organ of theirs is involved in that illness, which to me is shocking. But that's the way it is. So we're going to ignore modern medicine, though I must say, because I don't want to end up in court, that if you get sick on the physical dimension, you should go to your doctor, which chances are will be a modern medicine doctor. But keep the information we're giving you here in mind, refer to it, and continue to learn. And you will become master of your medical destiny also, which we have not been on the planet for a while. And now I have to stop talking about that because we already kind of know that that's a little bit dangerous subject. So let's go back to the attempted assassination. What does that have to do with shamanism? Oh my God, a lot. First place, whoever did that has an excess of the fire element. If you take a human being and you reduce the fire in them, they cannot kill others and they cannot kill themselves. They have to have an excess of the fire element, or it's simply not going to happen. They don't have the ability to do it. They're not going to be driven to it. It doesn't matter how much they were beaten when they were young. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What energizes the being able to kill somebody else is the fire element, and it must be an excess or that person would not have killed or attempted to kill. So we have the assassination attempt. Okay, we're not going to go into who did it, why they did it. We're not going to go into the politics. Politics is the opium of the masses. Yes, I know Karl Marx said that it was religion. Well, it's not. Religion is not the opium of the masses any longer. It's politics. And I tell my followers in the Mantrista movement, I don't want to hear a word about politics. I don't want to hear a word about it because you know what? Politics is on the physical dimension. It's a result of other stuff. Why on earth would we work on a result? Why are we not working at the causal level where we can create a change that makes sense to where what's on the physical dimension would be better? We don't do that. In the Mantrista movement, we don't. I know too much about politics because I was controlled by politicians for many years. I know the habits and I know the attitudes, and believe me, I have a degree in political science. Science. Please give me a break. So, back to the assassination attempt. Many of you have already heard this. You're going to hear it again. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back to what happened after 9/11 to this country in terms of shamanism. Okay? And there's physical manifestation. 9/11, towers go down, and yes, there was a lot of anger, but it was really nothing. Very little of it was expressed. It was expressed later in terms of taking away our freedoms as a result of what happened. But that didn't resolve the processing of what was a very real human reaction of rage at what was done to us. Completely changed this country. Completely changed. Everybody just swallowed that rage, and most people weren't even in contact with it. And it was so much, it was a big event. This changed the history of this country. That their bodies in New York and in that area, they couldn't contain all of that rage without imploding. And what Mother Earth does, because Mother Earth is a living creature that is there for us, she absorbed the extra fire, which is rage, frustration, irritation, etc., from human reaction to the destruction of the World Trade Center. Mother Earth absorbed it. Okay, okay, Francis. 9/20, 9 days after 9/11, I went into a panic attack, which is not usually my style. I mean, I was like, whoa. And then I said, okay, stop everything. Let me find out what is triggering this, because the panic attack is a symptom. Panic attack is when spirits are beating on you and you can't see them, but you can feel it and you go into a panic, the parts of you that are not physical. And if you do the mantra, even though I'm afraid, I love and accept myself, you can take care of the panic attack, because you are afraid of that's happening in the other dimensions that you're not in contact with. You're in contact with the emotional reaction of fear. So I go have a panic attack and I go, stop everything. Francis, what is this? And I realized, and I'm very connected to the planet, I realized that that Mother Earth had broken under New York City due to absorbing too much of the fire element, which is so destructive. Couldn't contain it anymore, and it broke Mother Earth under New York City, and a new fault line formed. Okay, well, how do you prove that? Well, you don't. Let me finish the story. So that's 9/20. So I put on my website, and I said it in Univision. I don't know if it was in news or if it was in the morning show, that there was a potential, and that I also put on my website, that 9/20/2001, there was a potential for there being an earthquake with the epicenter in New York City. That sounded so ridiculous, but it was my psychic information. I trust myself, and I also am disciplined, and I give the information I get, even though I could be wrong sometimes. And especially if it's something future's elastic and plastic, things change. But I said it, I documented it, I put it in public places. And I said 4 to 6 weeks after 9/11, I don't remember if it's 4 to 6 weeks after 9/11 or 9/20, there's a chance of an earthquake epicenter in New York City. October the 20th, I started to get phone calls. Oh my God, Francis, you were right. There was an earthquake in New York City. Wow, there was an earthquake. That earthquake was caused by the fault line, that new fault line that was created under New York City due to the repressed emotional reaction of rage from the people in New York having to do with 9/11. Okay, it wasn't that big an earthquake. But listen, when I checked, because I had never heard of an earthquake in New York City, when I checked, there was one earlier in the year, or a year and some before, 2000, 4.5 weeks or 5 weeks after the results of the election, where Al Gore was determined to have been the loser, which a lot of people were unhappy about. Bush was the winner, and New York City had an earthquake. You can look it up and you can check out the dates, because I would sit there with the calendar and go, no, this can't be right. This is just too exact. Okay, that happened in 2000, 2001. Both of them political issues. The results of the election, and it wasn't 4.5 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks after the election. It was 4 to 6 weeks after the results of the election were announced. Remember, it was up in the air, contested because of the Chads on the ballots. Okay, so on Friday, somebody attempted to kill Trump. Well, there's an emotional reaction to that in the entire country. Some people said, we wish they had killed him. They're so angry at Trump. And a lot of other people got really upset and said, this is not right. And again, I haven't been on X this afternoon. The last time was today at 11. So I don't know what went on today. But in the entire weekend, people were really civilized, same as after 9/11, and talking about there had to be a change and this couldn't happen. And this was evidence of what they had already been talking about. Okay, that's fine. Except that the day of the attempted assassination, I got together with the movement and I said, let's do some mantras to help relax the United States having to do with this that happened. But in the middle of it, I got a huge panic attack. I mean, I'm talking, I was embarrassed to be on screen. I had on a wool shirt and I had to go get a shawl and put it on. I was trembling and I was like, what on earth is going on? And then I realized, oh, something's happening. Just like after 9/11, that I could feel when there was a new fault line in New York. By the way, back to the fault line under New York, that fault line was found, I don't know if it was 10 years later. It was in the news that there was a new fault line under New York City. I saw it when it happened because my body was connected to it. My body was playing it out. Friday, my body was connected. So I said to my group, we need to quit with that mantra and we need to go and see what we can do to help to balance out the elements. And and then we were doing mantras, and then I said, you know what? Let me sketch the map of the United States. So the United States didn't look good. This looks pink because this is I drew over this as because I was out of control. I was not wrapped too tight because it was connected to what was going on literally at the level of the planet and emotions. This was red. So anyway, we worked and we worked and we worked, and we were only able to get 2 levels of pyramid protection. We need 3. We were not able to achieve the third one. We had Venus sending in energy. If you don't believe it, it's okay. Just stick it out with me. Venus sends you, if you believe in astrology, Venus sends energy every week to you. So Venus was sending energy, trying to balance out. But here, out in the ocean, this was red. And I saw it and I went, we are in trouble because this is so huge. It can trigger the San Andreas Fault. It can trigger volcanoes. So we started to clear it with ice, icy water, mantras. We called in the dolphins. We called in the dragons. And we would get it cool down a little bit and then it would go right back up again because it turned out that it was being infused by fire element from the other side of the planet. I'm making this too long. Here's the point. We were able to get, when we worked with where the fire was coming from, all of this got stimulated by the entire country going into a rage, whether it was the people that would have wanted Trump to be dead or the people that were angry that their candidate was shot at and what appeared to be a lot of sloppy security issues. And it affected the earth. It affected the balance of the elements. And I believe that if we had not done what we did, we would have had a catastrophe within a couple of days. We worked, we were able to get a third triangle, but that third triangle is supposed to be here around the other 2 triangles. It's not there. It's separate. When I knew we were in trouble was before this happened, when I went through the 2 triangles and I went, why are the 2 triangles not covering the Northwest? And then I went, we have something bad happening in the Northwest. That was the sequence. And then I saw the red here. Here it's pink. It's not pink, it's red. And then when I went to it, I went, there's going to be a stimulation of that volcano in the center of the United States. There's going to be earthquakes. There's going to be everything. Too much rage, too much fire, too much fire. That's shamanism applied to a political event because you can apply the rule that you need the 4 elements to be balanced in order to be healthy. there's too much rage in the country, which means there's too much fire element, which means we're sick. And we are sick. And we are very sick. You can apply all of this to your home. Is there too much fire in your home? Probably, because you have all that Wi-Fi, all that electricity. Now you've got the 5G. And the only thing that can destroy DNA, which is in the human mind strings, is the fire element. So we are burning our mind in addition to changing our personality and changing who we are. When somebody years ago, when I started to get mothers coming to me and say, my son completely changed personality. He adored me. Now he hates me. We actually had to call the police the other day because he wanted to kill me. What's going on? And I said, does he sleep with his cell phone? Yeah. I said, okay, I can't help you. What do you mean you can't help me? I said, because if he sleeps with a cell phone, it doesn't really matter what you do. It's going to all get canceled out. So if you can manage to get that kid to stop sleeping with that cell phone, maybe you can get your kid back. And the truth of the matter is that the mothers that were able to take a stand against that addiction that their child has, so they were able to create tremendous changes. And then you have to find out, where's the router situated? Is the kid's head against the wall on the other side? Is the 220 air conditioning or pool pump? Whatever. I'm not going to go into all of that. The point of the matter is that we are in deep trouble. And you don't have to be a shaman to know that. But if you can understand the basics of shamanism, you can make a difference. So how would that apply to you? Okay, so the whole country is ready to kill each other, or they're repress rage, and that's their vibration of a smile on their face, but honestly, they really want to kill everybody. So let's apply that to your daily life. You have a kid, and they do the electronic games, and they sleep with their cell phones, and they're constantly on some kind of electronic whatever. And you have a country that's full of violence, and you have kids in school that are bullying, and you have people that have guns and they're going to open up and shoot people. Okay, law of attraction plus shamanism. Law of attraction says you draw to you what you have inside of you. Not what you want, but what the congestions that you have inside of you, the images, the sounds, your thoughts, law of attraction. And then you have the elements. So if your kid has a lot of fire because they are addicted to electronics, they have what I call electro addiction, and they go to school and they've got a smile on their face because you taught them to be such a nice kid, okay? But their vibration is too much fire. They go to school, law of attraction always works, and there's a bully in school who acts out his fire. Your kid doesn't. Your kid can be depressed and slow and change his personality because of excess fire, because you raised him well, and he should not be bothering other people, and he can't be violent. What the heck is that all about? So he doesn't express it, okay? But he's still got it inside his aura and his bodies. He goes to school, and the bully, who really wants somebody that they can beat up because he's got too much fire, he's going to gravitate towards your kid because your kid has too much fire that's not playing out. So your kid looks like a little victim, but the real villain is the lack of balance of the elements in both of those, the bullying kid and the kid getting bullied. This whole thing with victim and master, the difference between them, we are victimized by things because we don't know. We draw to us. Karma is that you draw to you what you need, not what you want, what you need. So if you have all this extra fire here and you have somebody bullying you, you're not supposed to go, you need to take care of the bullying. Okay, stop bullying me, whatever, call the police, whatever. But you need to look at, why does this person always getting bullied? Because this is a very angry, oversaturated with fire element. And it could be the lady at the checkout counter, it could be the landlord, it could be the brother, it could be the father. Is bullying this kid, but this kid has a lot of repressed anger. You work on this, and all of the rest of this collapses. They can continue with all their fire, but they're not going to gravitate towards your kid, because the law of attraction can't kick in, because your kid is kind of okay in the balance of the elements. So I tell the mothers that follow me, you need to make sure that your kid goes off to school and goes out into shopping centers and events where their elements are kind of balanced. They can't go with all that extra fire in them, which, yes, translates into rage, whatever, or depression and suicide. Do you have a suicidal kid who's very depressed and everybody's beating up on him? He's got too much fire. Well, he doesn't look like he has any fire at all. No, he doesn't. But he does, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have that depression and he wouldn't be suicidal. Being suicidal is an excess of the fire that you turn against yourself. So we have all been victimized by people. Some of us are consistently victimized by other people. And one of the easiest ways to take care of it is to take care of our own excess fire. In terms of the shooter or the people that are trying to take down Trump, there's no question but that they're very angry. But there's also no question that Trump is very angry. He's angry at everything that goes on, what's been done to him. This is not a right or wrong thing. We're talking shamanism. In shamanism, there is no right and wrong. Everything is a balance of the elements. Everything is a balance of the elements. Now, you have past lives that create scenarios that you repeat, but it still has to do with the balance of the elements. And the problem is when you get an entire country that has repressed rage, because in the United States, both sides, the people that hate Trump and the people that want Trump, are full of rage. We are in deep, deep trouble, and you don't have to be a shaman to see that. But you can take care of yourself by reducing your fire, so that if you go someplace and there's a bully, they're not going to be, by law of attraction, magnetically drawn to you. Don't send your kid out into the world with too much fire. As a depressed little kid, as a little scaredy cat little kid, okay? It's still fire. Don't send them out like that. Learn how to reduce that. Throw them into the swimming pool several hours a day. Don't take them to shopping centers. Don't take them to Disney. Take them to vacations and to trips to the woods, to the beach, to mountains, because water and earth put out fire, which are the catastrophes. The United States has a potential volcano in the center that could absolutely take down the country and a lot more things. And that, I believe, would have been stimulated if we hadn't been able to shut down whatever was going on over here. Remember, we had 2 earthquakes in Vancouver, okay? They were not small. And then we had the same size earthquakes within 24 hours, the other side of the planet, which means, not quite sure what it means, but it does mean you better pay attention. Something bad can come down the pike. So we were able to create some change. We didn't get the 3rd pyramid of protection. And then we got a pyramid that's separate. Is this part of the country going to separate? I don't know. I'm going to go back tonight or tomorrow and we're going to look and see what it is that's going on. But I had a panic attack a few minutes ago. No, it was this morning. I had a panic attack. There's still stuff going on. People are still very angry. And so you can say, let's say you're a Trump supporter. Things are going better. They didn't kill him. He looks great. Oh my God, he's really going to win. But there's still an awful lot of rage at what many people consider the unfairness, at what was done to him, at what was done to all of us, da, 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 da. And then you have the people on the other side who are terrified of Trump coming in, and they hate him. Fire, 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 fire. In a planet, in a country that's already too full of fire. The good news is that starting, I don't know how many years ago, 7, 8 years ago, there was a change on planet Earth. We no longer are creating a collective reality for every single person. Our realities are now individual. Your house can be left standing in the middle of a place where all the other houses are burning down. If you have the elements balanced, you create that. And by the way, the creation, it, the tools that are used start with the elements. So if your elements are unbalanced, it doesn't matter what you touch, your creations are not going to be what you want, or your creations may come back and slap you in the face. So, shamanism. When does it get to be like galactic shamanism? When you're able to capture what's going on off planet to help this planet. In this case, Venus started to send energy to cool down. Venus energy cools down. It's not just about love and beauty and order, it cools down. The Medusas cool down. We didn't call in Venus. Venus just shut up on its own because the planets have consciousness and they work with us to create whatever scenarios we need for our process of evolution. We draw to us what we need in order to evolve, which is what we're supposed to be doing on the planet. At the same time, all these god awful things are happening, most of which are man made. Now, lately, there's an awful lot of galactic interference. And here we go again with the galactic shamanism. From what I can see, the bad guys, the bad ETs, love it when we have too much fire. What is the food of the devil? The devil is a spirit from other planets. I don't know if all of them, but most of them, the devil energy comes from Orion. What is their food? The fire element. When you look at the images of the apocalypse, what are you seeing? A fire element out of control and the devil. And people with a lot of anguish and a lot of fear, like hell. So you can't be there in that hell if you don't have too much of the fire element. The United States cannot go tumbling down into a hole, a black hole of hell, if it has a balance of the elements. Ideally, we should have the entire country or a lot of the country visualizing um, the ice bucket technique on a map of the United States. That is what the ice bucket technique was about. What is that all about? Oh, it's about that disease where the people can't move. Do you know what gives this is God, I hope people get it. Do you know which energy body humans have that is totally composed of mind strings, which are one of the main components is DNA, is the etheric body, which is the Higgs field. When you have this disease that the Ice Bucket Challenge was collecting money for, and I don't remember what the name of the disease is right now, maybe somebody will put it in the chat. That disease is when the etheric body is out of alignment with the physical. So to work, and that body gets bad when there's too much fire. So the Ice Bucket Challenge is to cool down that body. So it makes sense. Now, did anybody know that? No. They just thought, oh, this is a neat idea. We're going to do this Ice Bucket Challenge and people are going to get all wet and cold. You can do that same thing in the other dimensions, and you need to do that in the other dimensions. You visualize a map of the United States and you figure out how you're more comfortable. Do you want to run a stream of ice cold water over the United States? Do you want to put the map underneath cascading water from glaciers? Do you want to put glaciers on top of the United States? This is all visualization. You don't have to move from your sofa. You can do it from there. Um, Thank you, Latina Espiritual. It was for ALS. You can do it. And you should do it all day long, and you should have everybody do it. But that's what that's for. The ice bucket challenge was for that. Now we call it the glacier technique. And it wasn't until about several months after using it, I went, oh my God, the ice bucket challenge. So, what is the breaking? After 9/11 on 9/20, what broke was the Higgs field, which is the etheric, which is the body that's in trouble when you have ALS. What happened on Friday was too many people were in a rage. Didn't matter what side you were on. So the etheric of the United States, which was already podrido, which means rotten, was breaking not just more, but enough to give me the kind of panic attack, except much stronger than after 9/11. And then again this morning. So you don't have to invest money. You don't have to donate. You don't have to move from your chair. But you do have to attend this lack of balance of elements in your home and in the country in order for us to be able to move forward. Because if these natural catastrophes happen on a big scale, everything else gets thrown out the window. Politics, politicians, the money you donate for the elections, stolen elections, all of that has no meaning if we have a huge natural catastrophe in the middle of the country, or if why I drew this without including the Northwest, don't know, but that's not good. The good thing was that we were able to we worked enough to where I was able to very naturally sketch a small protective pyramid, but only one, and small and separate. This does not bode well for us. And as the dolphins told me, it appears that we were successful in our work on Friday night, having to do with this part and this country. But that ball of fire, that extra fire element, which comes from the center of the earth, that lava that's in the center of the earth, that I think used to be a ball. And a couple years ago, I said, it's not a ball anymore. The covering is not working. It's not round. It juts out here and there. On Friday, when we finished, and the dolphin said, mission accomplished, you stopped this process that I was feeling, but there will be an event. It just won't be in the same place because we were able to cool that down. I have taken too long to explain this, but this is so important because it changes history. Okay? It changes history. And it's basic shamanism, which is the basis for Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. And what are the medicines that can create miracles? What we call miracles: shamanism, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine. And what is the medicine where you wouldn't even dare to ask for a miracle? You can ask for it at church and at home, but you wouldn't go to the doctor's office and said, you need to do a miracle here. And no doctor would ever said, you know what? I was able to create a miracle. Are you kidding me? They'd take him, they'd take him down. The system would take him down. You cannot say that in modern medicine. You can't even use the word healing. I can't use the word healing. I have to use the word purification, which I prefer the word healing. But I can't use that word because I'll end up with a lawyer's letter and I'll get taken down. So, shamanism, and it becomes galactic when you have to take into consideration and you are able to see and work with energies that are from off planet. You need to learn to do this because this is all happening whether you believe or not. And I'm going to go back to the same statement. You struggle to believe in spirits and you think you're going to deal well with the alien issue? Hello? Those aliens are spirits. They have different shapes. Spirits can change into any shape that they want. And somebody talks about a spirit and you don't believe him. Your religion talks about spirits. All of the religions talk about spirits because if spirits didn't exist, religions wouldn't exist. Jesus Christ came to the planet to guide humans to the light. But he also came to the planets to guide spirits to light because too many of them are wandering around. And that's part of your religion. But you don't really believe in spirits. You're not real comfortable with them. And even in my group, some people said, I don't know, but I think there was something in my kitchen. I said, don't give me this something thing. Was there a giraffe in your kitchen? No. Well, what? What do you, spirit? Yeah, I think there was a spirit. Well, say it. Even with us that we can talk about it and we see it, there's still a lot of people that have a hard time putting that word out. So if you can't handle the spirit thing, you're not going to be able to handle the ET stuff well. And you better, because they didn't just land, they're here. Some of the followers did see spaceships here. I was too busy having a panic attack and trying to figure out what it is that we need to do with that boiling rage that was off the coast of California. Because I knew that if that continued, it was going to trigger something huge that we were not going to be able to control. Because once it gets triggered, you're not going to be able to stop it. Anyway, I've gone on and on and on. Let's do 5 minutes of world peace. And I'm going to put the Medusas on, and let's just relax for 5 minutes. And the video that I was recommending that is on my YouTube channel basically is the same thing. I said, if you think this is important, you might want to look at it there. Maybe I use different words. Maybe you want to recommend it for people to start wrapping their head around this. Start little. You got a kid that's addicted to electronics. He has too much fire, which means he will be the one that will get bullied. He will be the one that if he's in a theater and somebody starts to shoot somebody who has so much hatred in them, they're going to shoot somebody who has a lot of fire. Law of attraction, magnetism. So start with your kid. Start with your meetings. You have a meeting where it's going to get a little bit testy. People are not so happy. Visualize everybody in igloos of ice. Visualize a huge piece of ice above everybody, underneath them, on their feet, inside of them, whatever. And you will see it cool down. And then one example, one of the Montristas went on a trip to Europe, and she was with her husband in a restaurant. Everything great. They're having a great trip. And all of a sudden, there's some men fighting in the corner. And they knew it was going to end up in a fist fight, something physical, and the whole night was going to get destroyed. So she said to her husband, please help me. Start visualizing the ice on top of the men. I'll do the mantra. I'm not sure that she didn't ask him to also do the mantra. I don't remember. Because you can also do a mantra to reduce fire. And they sat there, and within 2 minutes, everything went like this, blah, 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 dissipated. It's like throwing a bucket of ice water on them. The ice bucket challenge, you reduce the fire. And then if you throw a bucket of water on people, all of a sudden, they're not so angry. Even if they go, why did you do that? It's still not the same. You reduce the fire. Now, reality is creating the other dimensions. Start learning to work in the other dimensions. And let me put on the music. I'm going to put the music first, and then I'm going to get the mantra, okay? For world peace. Okay, this particular sensory therapy music reduces the fire, introduces the vibration of Venus, changes the energy of where you play it, and we have it in our YouTube channel, 8 hours long, with a map of the United States on the video. So the entire time, 10 hours, if you sleep with it, a lot of us are sleeping with it at night. It relaxes you, the rooms. It helps to control spirit attacks and invasion. Spirits do not like the vibration of Venus. They don't like the vibration of love. They cannot tolerate water. That's why there's water used in baptism. And with the map of the United States, we are cooling down the United States. I don't have the link here. I think I had it on Friday, but it is under our playlist Mantrista Movement, and we have one for every country, including the United States in this part of the world, and then we have one for the map of the world, and you should use that. So we're finished, and I'm going to leave on the screen for a few minutes our calendar of events, which at this point is just simply in Spanish, so it's not something that if you don't know Spanish is available to you. We hope to make it available soon. We're just covering an awful lot of bases right now. And that's about it. So I'm going to, after this, get on X and see if anything important happened. By the way, throughout this time, and I didn't say this example, but I'm going to, when they did the impeachment trial for Trump, which was a couple of years ago, I don't remember when it was. And on one weekend, it was that week, the level of hatred in this country was unbelievable. So in the Mantrista movement, we went ahead, and I think it was a Saturday night, we went ahead to Washington, D.C. We don't get involved in politics, but there was rage, rage. I said, let's go ahead and put out the fire, the rage, the fire element. And we found it was underneath the city. And we worked and we were able to reduce it substantially. This would be Saturday before the Monday, and I'm not sure how long that trial lasted. On Monday morning, we reduced the fire. It was really impressive. We were very happy with ourselves. On Monday, the guy that was running the impeachment fell asleep in the middle of the impeachment. So you're going to say, well, what's that got to do with anything? The reason for the augmentation in insomnia is too much fire. We put out the fire. That guy was exhausted. Anyway, and we took away the fire. He couldn't stay awake. He fell asleep. It was in the news. If not, how would we know it? It was in the news, and I went, wow, that is a substantial piece of evidence that the fire was reduced. We were very happy with it. And you can do that too. With your kids, they're fighting at the dining room table. You need to reduce the fire element in the other dimensions. And you don't have to move a muscle. You can do it just with your head. And that's what I want you to learn to do. I want you to learn to create consciously with your mind. You can do this. Okay? Keep following us. I'm going to put the, okay, there we go.